Let's begin with understanding. What are salts? Acids have replaceable hydrogen atoms. When these hydrogen atoms are completely or partially replaced by metal atom, the resulting compounds are known as salts. Now, let's talk about how to name salts. Salts are basically the ionic compounds, in which positively charged metal ion is attached with the negatively charged part of an acid. Salt's name consists of two parts. First part of salt's name is the name of metal ion, and the second part is the name of the negative part of acid from which it is derived. For example, in case of NaCl, the name of metal ion is sodium, and the name of negative part of acid is chloride, because NaCl is derived from hydrochloric acid. Hence, the salt name of NaCl is sodium chloride. Let's take example of another salt, CaSO4. Here, the name of metal ion is calcium, and the name of negative part of acid is sulfate, because CaSO4 is derived from sulfuric acid. Hence, salt name of CaSO4 is calcium sulfate. Now, let's learn how to write the formulas of salts. Let's first see the negative parts of different acids and charges they carry. Chloride, the negative part of HCl. It has a charge of -1. The next one is nitrate, the negative part of nitric acid. It also has a charge of -1. Sulfate is the negative part of sulfuric acid, carrying a charge of -2. And phosphate, negative part of phosphoric acid, carries a charge of -3. Let's write the formula for lithium chloride. The charge on the lithium ion is +1, as it is the member of group 1 of the periodic table, while the charge on the chloride ion is -1. The negative and positive one balance each other out. Hence, the formula of lithium chloride is LiCl. Let's practice on a few more salts. Next one is magnesium chloride. The charge on the magnesium ion is +2, being the member of group 2 of periodic table, and that on chloride ion is -1. Now, exchange the charges. On magnesium and chloride ions, 2 would go with the chloride and 1 with magnesium. Hence, the formula of magnesium chloride is MgCl2. Next is sodium sulfate. The charge on the sodium ion is +1, again, being member of group 1. And that on sulfate is -2. Exchanging the charges on sodium and sulfate ions, 2 would go with the sodium and 1 with the sulfate. Hence, the formula of sodium sulfate is Na2SO4. Lastly, writing formula for calcium phosphate. Calcium ion has a charge of +2, and that on phosphate ion is -3. Now, it's turn to exchange charges. 3 comes with calcium and 2 with the phosphate. So, Ca3PO4 whole twice would be the formula of calcium phosphate. Now, let's discuss a reaction that involves the formation of salt. And that very reaction is neutralization reaction. Neutralization is the reaction between acids and bases to form salt and water. Let's take an example of acid HCl reacting with NaOH base and form salt NaCl and water. As HCl is a strong acid, it completely dissociates into its ions, hydrogen ion and chloride ion. Similarly, NaOH, being a strong base, completely dissociates into sodium ion and hydroxide ion. NaCl is in aqueous solution. It will also dissociate into sodium ion and chloride ion. Writing the net equation for this reaction: hydrogen ion plus chloride ion plus sodium ion plus hydroxide ion goes to form sodium ion plus chloride ion plus water. Now, cancel the similar kind of ion on the left and right side of equation. chloride ion on the left side of equation would cancel out with the chloride ion on the right side. Similarly, sodium ion on the left side would cancel out with the sodium ion on the right side. So we are left with hydrogen and hydroxide ions on the left side and with the water on the right side. So the net equation is H plus OH negative goes to form H2O. Hence, neutralization is the reaction between hydrogen ions of an acid and hydroxide ions of a base. Taking another example of sulfuric acid reacting with a base, potassium hydroxide, and forms potassium sulfate salt and water. Sulfuric acid, being strong acid, dissociates into hydrogen ions and sulfate ions, while potassium hydroxide dissociates into potassium ions and hydroxide ions. Potassium sulfate, being an aqueous solution, dissociates into potassium ion and sulfate ion. Writing net equation: hydrogen ion plus sulfate ion plus potassium ion plus hydroxide ion goes to form potassium ion plus sulfate ion plus water. Now, cancel the similar ions on the left and right side of equation. Sulfate ion on the left side cancels with the sulfate ion on the right side. And potassium ion on the left side cancels with the potassium ion on the right side. So the net equation is hydrogen ion plus hydroxyl ion goes to form H2O. Hence, acid neutralizes base and form neutral products that are salt and water. So, named as neutralization reaction.